Okay, if you haven't followed me, just go to Google on North Africa. That's the giant fish in the desert. That's the giant dragon that attacked the giant fish that was recorded in history. And then the giant dragon's throat was cut by the great and mighty sword of God and bled out in the desert and is on top of the earth. Both of these creatures are. You can see that the Sahara Ocean ran out across into the Atlantic. It's quite obvious to anybody that pays any attention. Now, this is all denied by, well, denied, they won't look at it, they won't talk, they haven't addressed it, they refuse to address it in academia. So that tells me that they're not truly interested in reality in academia. Now, NASA's the same thing. They won't address this either. And NASA's going to the moon, to Mars, and is looking for biology on Mars, and I found all of it. Every single bit of it is no question whatsoever. They refuse to interact. And I've emailed literally dozens of them, and the same thing in academia. So we know that their true intent is not to seek out knowledge. Okay, so we know now that academia is totally wrong about the things that they are telling you. You have to be educated. And they say to be well educated, you need to be knowledgeable and possess all the knowledge that they force you to agree to. And we know now that that's not true, the knowledge that they have been forcing you to agree to. So, what is the outcome of this? Well, the first outcome is that academia says that this is not an environment where they're concerned with pursuing, looking out, chasing after research and education, scholarship. We know that's not true. We know that's totally not true. It's been 8.5 years and nobody will respond whatsoever. Not a single PhD has responded yet, not one. And I've tried hundreds, over and over, many. Now, if I was going to play the devil's advocate, I would say, this could be insidious behavior, gradual, subtle way with harmful effects, treacherous, crafty. If you lost all your servants, how would you get them back? Well, at one time, the slaves, that was a pretty common occurrence. You had slaves, they did all the work for you, and you told them what to do. And now it's happened again. It says it's a state of being a slave or completely subject to someone more powerful. Now, the academics say that you must be educated, which means you must agree to what they say, whether it's right or wrong. Now, secondly, they say that because it's very hard for them to do all that work, to train you and teach you, you have to pay them. So not only have they subjugated you by putting you in a position where the poorest have no way to pay them, first of all, and it is literally extortion now because they know they're wrong or they're so incompetent or so lackadaisical about their position that they have never tried to verify truth and will not step up to truth. So they have literally enslaved anyone that doesn't have the money to pay them to validate them. And the people that they have said, you must say what we tell you to say in order to get out of this institution with a passing grade, it doesn't matter. You have to say what we say. I ran into this 50 years ago, and I've put up a fight, and I won. And now we're going to win again. Because you're going to have to put up your own fight. I can't do this anymore. I am so crushed, and you have no idea, even my own family. I just had it out with my own family over this. This is not a good situation for anyone. You have been put in a state of slavery. And if you don't stand up for yourself and say, this education nonsense is not correct, it's totally wrong. And it's wrong in every single field. And if anybody wants to step up against me, I have the evidence to produce it that shows that they are wrong. In every area. I can show it in physics with the light. I can show it in geology with all of the different stuff we have, all of it DNA certified, the whole 9 yards, giants, everything. Dragons, fish. I show all the stuff on Mars that they sent back from the rover. I show the information about Comet 67P and what the chemistry is there, which is all biological and organic. Somebody should contact me back. I've emailed all the people at NASA, and not a single one is interested in reality. So in my mind, that takes a whole new landscape here. The people have told that they're uneducated are literally more educated than the people say that they have to make you educated to believe what they believe. Total different set of circumstances right now. And somebody's going to have to stand up for these people. And I will. You're going to have to do it yourself, because I can only get through to a few. All right? But, and I'm telling you, this is insidious. It's insidious behavior. Proceed in a gradual way with harmful effects, treacherous and crafty. If they can make you pay them and indebt yourself to them, which makes it so that you cannot object, and you can't object during the process of being educated, or they will say you just don't understand, and they will fail you, which is what they try to do to me. And I forced my professor to take as an exam against me, because I knew more than he did. I knew more than he did. But I just knew on top of that it was all wrong in the first place. But I could play his game. And I beat him. We had to calculate out the dipole molecular moment of some polar molecule. I think it was PCl3 or something. Now, your professors are going to say, oh, you have to understand light and the molecules and atoms and all that. Well, they have no clue about it. They're completely wrong. They can understand how they interact, but they have no clue about the nucleus, and now here they have admitted it. And this is light, pulse red laser. This is accelerating light, and that is the particle, so Einstein was completely wrong. This is Cherenkov radiation, and the new boson that I have been forcing on academia for years now, they finally admitted that it exists. This is the photons, these boxes. This is what the new theory is, and this is my electron flood theory, is that there's nothing but electrons, and they're dipoles, positive and negative. There's a strong negative portion and a weak positive portion. At rest, they're just like this. They don't do anything, but when they concuss, the strong portion explodes, the weak portion does nothing. That is the boson. That's what they've been looking for. That's what we found. That's what they're ignoring for years. And the only reason they admitted to it just recently, because they couldn't get away from it. So you can obviously see the light accelerating. That was just a nice even wave, and now it's being forced forward because the particle is being pulled out of it, and that's the particle. And as I showed you before, they are like this, floating through the air, and when they concuss at the venturi, they do this. They create the boson, which is what they've been talking about and looking for. That is the black little dot that was attached to the white. The white explodes like an atomic bomb. The black just walks away. These are all those little black dots. Now, I can't account for it, but I can see what it's doing. And if you can't see it, I don't know what I could say. Those are the bosons. They're the carrier particles. The white ones are the compression, concussion, explosion particles. The harder they hit, the more they glow. And here they are glowing like hell. So this, in my world, is an increase in energy from the energy that it started with. That, to me, points towards that big free thing that they talk about, free energy. And it also points to me, because this is a particle and it is light, the light coming from the sun and from every luminous body fills the universe with ether particles. They are the dark energy and the dark matter until they finally concuss. All right, so it's time to rail against the inaccuracies in education that are now ingrained, and they cannot be fought against. So not only are they forcing you to pay, they're forcing you to repeat what they say, and they're teaching you the wrong stuff, and they're making it so that if you object, you will lose everything you have, and they'll still keep your money. It's time to set the slaves free. Give them the money back and start over again, and everybody goes on the same playing field, because all the professors now, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be re-educated. They are the ones that need the re-education, and they are the ones fighting the hardest against it. Now, again, the ones that are telling you what to believe refuse to examine this. Absolutely refuse, after having all the evidence that I have. That is a normal-sized human lung. Any first-year biology student should be able to understand what that is. This is the pleura, which is the coating of the lung. This is the depression of the heart. This is a left lung. And that is the bloody investment of the flap that hangs off the bottom. And it has another little attachment at the top that keeps it secured. Now, this is, and that is DNA certified. This is a fingertip from this palm, this hand. That fingertip has been DNA certified, CAT scanned, anatomist verified. Every single thing that you can do to prove it has been done. Chemistry, everything. This is a knuckle. That's the bone side. Well, that shows the bone. It eroded, kind of crazy looking. That's the bone side. And this side here has still got the muscle on it. You see it? It's the other side of the bone ball, but it still has a muscle. That's the tendon that runs down. And if a good anatomist, they could probably look at that and say, oh yeah, and that's an abrupt transition. That's what they do. They have abrupt transitions. I'm so deep into this, you just have no clue. That's the palm, and that is exactly what happened. It's this one. This right here, you see that? It almost looks like it's pasted in there. You see that? That's that part of your skin, your pad, and that's the other thing that runs down. You have one too. It runs right down here, and then the rest of the pad, a bumper, goes over to here. Now, you see that silver stuff? That is grip skin. You see over here? It's got a ton of silicone in it because it is the tough skin that meets the world where you got to grip things. It's called friction skin, I guess I call it grip skin. Anyway, this is so verified. You can't verify it any more verified. So we know that they're not looking for truth, because this literally shows that everything else that they're saying is wrong about history. Absolutely. And God is the real killer. That's the one that they just can't accept. That's the real killer, because this points to God. So this is what's going on. It's a multiple assault on humanity. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, my friends, this is the DNA test, and there was 3 of them in here, and there was a 36-inch tip, a lung, and the mud tip, and they were all found to be human mitochondrial DNA. I extracted it, and I did it in the best possible conditions, and from deep inside. So this was 5 years ago. It's time to examine it, because it's been denied to be examined. All right, now this goes back about 6 months ago. I put up something quick on my Facebook about some of the unbelievable species that we have found. Now, this is called the Most Unique MFU Specimen Investigations. And here I'm just going to play it, and you can listen to what it says. Now, these are the things that you need to go in front of your professors and say, can you explain this? We're going to do a unique and specimen investigations. Now, these are things that nobody knows about. Well, they should know about them, but they haven't paid attention. That's a no-toe. That's the leg of one, and this is the spring-loaded no-toe. And we have tons of
I have
feet.
this one here. I have this.
This
I have
is
several
a naga,
species.
and it literally was alive once, no question. I did the autopsy on it. That is the naga that they show you some. These are absolutely 100% certain what I am saying. And if anybody can stand up and test it and say, oh, no, let me show you you're wrong, I want them to do it, because I know 100% factual. I am the only expert in the world right now that can make this determination, and I have made it. This is a naga, and it is literally was alive once. 100%. No question. I did the autopsy on it. That is the naga that they show in Romania. That is a head that we had CAT scanned and all that. It looks like it caved in with some kind of a club. Now that could have actually been from Roanoke or something, because they got found down in that area. Now this is a foot from one of those no-toes that has the spring load. And that's the strap that runs up from the ball of the heel, no question, and that's the stirrup of where the bone sits. And these are spring-loaded. This part is exactly the same as ours. You see, any anatomist understands that. That's the heel bone. That's the strap that runs up, and it goes up like this. I show it in complete detail. And then this is the stirrup where the bone sits down. Now, this is a no-toe. That's where the bone is on this one. You see it? And you can see a little bit of blood running off of here. And that's where the tibia would be. The tibia is the big one, goes up, and the fibia is on the side. And all of them seem to have that structure. But the ones Tish has these spring-loaded things. And I looked at this very carefully. Very, very interesting stuff. And nobody seems to care.
I researched them very
This was
well.
years ago.
That's exactly what they are, their feet.
Years ago, I sent this to Yale and Harvard. No
Tish
response.
Egerton found a trove of
That's
these
the
things.
back of the
Now,
head.
This is Kim Montgomery up in Washington State, and this is the back of the Naga head where it was cracked in. It seems like they smashed all these heads in. Anytime you see red or black coming out, it's from blood, and this was a red-blooded creature, that Naga. What else do we have here? All right, and here's the bottom of the throat. She wrapped some gold stuff around the neck. She got it dressed up like a doll's head. But this is the throat. And there's the veins and the arteries and where the tongue comes up and everything. It's all, that's actually where the tongue is.
It was just,
That's the opening of the throat. And then you have your veins and arteries. I have some other shots of the veins and arteries too. See right there, you can't really see it all that well. It's dark, but that's underneath. That's a vein and artery. And that's what Tish's leg. She had found a ton of these. And you know the crazy thing? Her husband said, you know, I saw this guy. He says you can find these things in 15 minutes. These mud fossils. So he said, well, let's go look. 15 minutes later, she comes home with a ton of these things. I'm serious. Absolutely amazing. So this is, again, this is Tish's, no, I'm sorry, this is Kim's head.
see the eyes and everything.
That's the Naga head. And that's why I got
lips,
thinking about it,
skin,
because
and
I had
the
another friend
eyelids.
that sent me something today about
Just unbelievable.
Naga land, or whatever. It's, where is it? It's around here somewhere. Hold on, I'll show you. Hello, my friends, Roger at Mudfossil University.
Here, I'll just go on.
Geologists hate this. This was, again, this is
Yeah,
from
they
Tish.
do.
These are feet. These are feet from human-ish things, and that's like a wing nut underneath. That's one of these no-toes. The spring assembly.
Here,
That's
look,
your heel
see
bone.
here it is right here.
Right? You know what that is. That's your heel bone.
See, remember we showed you?
That is a tendinous strap. See it runs right up. All right. Tendinous strap attached to here. What is this? What is that? The tendinous
Same
strap
exact same thing.
attached to a heel bone. Now,
Now,
that's your
see
heel.
over here? Oops. That's got the same, you know, I said that you got your tibia and then you got your fibia. The fibia is a little one that sits on the side. It's really not hardly attached. And as you can see, it just falls right off. They break right off there. They break right off there. Now hers were, well, these mine are enclosed too. I don't know what's inside of mine. I never cut it open. I was just about to. That's the crazy thing. When she called, she said, guess what I found? I said, wow, holy smokes. I mean, my life is filled with this on a daily basis. It's just phenomenal what I have started with. All the people now that are bringing things forward that they've had, nobody would allow it. Okay, my friends, what you need to do is to get up on this site of my channel up on YouTube, Mudfossil University. Now, go through all of these videos, and I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and they cover every different topic: health, our ancient past, religious stuff. You know, look, this is when schools match wits. This
Sends me this thing back.
Carlson. I think I said before, Tyson Carlson, which is his name, and I said Carlson Tyson. I don't know. I get confused. That happens when you get old. Now he's got a site that is absolutely stunning. Look at this. This is membranes. This is a membrane that an elephant could go through almost, and in us molecules go through. That's the top part of the membrane. In between here is there's like an aqueous solution. This is called a bilipid membrane. And it's like 6 feet thick. On us, it's, I think, they did the research. I think he said it's like 6 nanometers or something on us. But look, this is it right here. This is again, get an anatomist. How could anybody be this inept, incompetent to, oh, that's just lava, and they just go away. You know, if you're supposed to be an expert, you're supposed to be an expert. And if they can't understand what they're seeing there, that right there is what they call, I think they call it a protein channel, whatever. But this is that thickness of a membrane. It's just phenomenal. But you saw the size of the dragon. I cannot account for these creatures, how they lived on the earth, so forth. I'm going back to when I believe the earth was a literal accretion disk. Now, once you see this stuff, you cannot go back to academia and say, oh, you got to teach me what I should be thinking, because they have no clue. They're fighting against this. Walk away. All right? Now, I'm going to finish it up. Okay, my good friends, we know that geology is totally wrong, that the earth is literally biology, and I can prove this in a multitude of ways. Carlson Tyson is, and Scott Wiles are investigating a site in Oregon that needs to be investigated, very easily to investigate. It's right there. And they are doing the work that should be being done by academia, and they're not doing it. So there is very little support that you can show that says that academia is looking for truth. And I can show a ton of evidence to support the fact that they are refusing truth. So that puts them in the worst possible light that they could possibly be in. And this was all, and it's a lot of this has to do with literally hating God. And that was all written in the ancient texts as well. That's the key. It's always recorded. It said that they'll try to deceive you with tales they have concocted, and their destruction does not sleep. It says that your teachers will try to deceive you with, they'll destroy truth. And that's what's exactly happened. And you're paying them to force you to say what they should know is wrong. And if they don't know it's wrong, I wouldn't have them for my teacher. I can guarantee you that. Okay, I guess I'm just going to leave you with this. You do have some recourse because there is responsibilities of a fiduciary. And what is a fiduciary? It normally relates to somebody that is looking over your financial interests, and they can't put themselves above you. So it refers to the obligation one party has in relationship with another to act entirely on the other party's behalf and best interest. It would be the best interest for you that you were educated in reality, I would think, and not so that they could continue to keep their status. And that's the only reason I can come up with. Maybe they can justify some other reason that they're just so incompetent or just so lazy that they can't answer the phone or can't respond to emails. So anyway, it is considered to be the standard of highest care. The individual has a responsibility of being a fiduciary is referred to as the fiduciary, which would be like Yale and Harvard and all of these institutions that have, in my mind, failed. So you do have some legal recourse because this is a legal obligation. And they are a fiduciary 100%, and even more of a fiduciary than just somebody that manages your stock portfolio, because they are creating your life's capability of earnings. And you go to them, you go to the highest level of educator so that you can get the best education. And then when you find this out, I think you must be terribly disappointed. Okay, I was allowed in the past to publish on academia. I don't know if I am now. This goes back a week or so, where they keep sending you, here's how many times you've been mentioned. 1,645 mentions, and I was just mentioned in 10 PDFs recently, and including atmospheric science paper. But watch this. View your mentions. I clicked on here. Usually it would come up immediately showing the institutions and so forth, and then it would show your mentions and so forth, and now there's just nothing. Now, I don't know if this just accidentally happened, but I got a feeling it didn't. Once you're in the outs, you're in the outs, and they will keep you out as far as they can. Because trust me, I am out. You're going to have to get this in. I cannot do it. All right, you just saw what I showed you. Dragons, gigantic fish, huge, gigantic human beings, all completely verified. And now look at what Sir Isaac Newton said a long time ago. He said, about the time of the end, and I can guarantee you the end is very soon, a body of men will be raised up who will turn their attention to the prophecies and insist on their literal interpretation. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm insisting on at least we look at it, and it will be in the midst of much clamor and opposition. And that is exactly what is happening. And we are raising up a body of men, women, and all species that exist on the face of the planet to search for truth. Thank you, Sir Isaac Newton. I always sort of did like your apple. All right, have a nice day, everyone. I love you all. God bless you.